Yo, how you guys doing? So, I had a gracious viewer of mine named DNDo throw in $9 for video requests. So I'm gonna do that right now for y'all. So if you have a video request or like an article request or whatever, something that you want me to break down for you, is just throw me $9 on my Subscribestar, subscribestar.com/DurstTheWorst. Yeah. Throw me $9 and I will break down pretty much any video that you want. Anything that won't get me banned or whatever. Yeah, it'll be fun. But today, we have this. Notes of a Native Soy Boy. This should be pretty funny. We got typical virtue signaling male feminist twat. Let's get into his perspective, shall we?
February 16th, 2018. Notes of a Native Soy Boy. Last year, on International Women's Day, I posted the following tweet. And then there's a screenshot of my tweet. Tweet. It says, I'm wearing red today because all the women I know are way cooler and smarter and more talented than the men I know. Hashtag International Women's Day.
Oh my goodness. He's wearing like period blood red signal to really revolting women who make cupcakes out of said period blood that he hates himself for being male. Oh wow, let's get into this.
And then there's a picture of just my chest. I'm wearing a red sweater and headphones.
My chest, my hormone influence, my hormone enhanced chest.
It got no likes, no retweets, and no comments, which is fine. I'm used to sending my tweets out into the void of the internet and not hearing anything back. But last month, a little over 10 months since I first posted it, my tweet got picked up by an alt-right/conservative feed.
Ah, good old Vince James. Hell yeah, dude has to say. Let's see, where to go? I think there is a word for quote-unquote men like this. Yeah, the cuck, of course. Tweet went viral. Yeah. Good old Vincent James, always bringing the truth.
And then there's a picture of this screenshot of the tweet by the Red Elephants.
Where is it?
Saying, I think there's a word for men like this, ... And then they have my tweet. And suddenly, my tweet went viral, or the closest to viral any of my tweets have ever gone. Pretty shortly after, a handful of the Red Republicans' 15,000 followers started trolling me. Here are some of their replies to the above tweet. At Dick Dellingpole said, mangina.
Yep, based.
At Ann Deans1 said, virgins. At
He's calling them
20
virgins. Hold on,
said,
yeah.
soy boy, boy spelled B-O-I. At Leic, Josh, I don't know, said he's doing an Aziz.
Ah, yes. An Aziz.
Typical bully.
No, see, an Aziz, I mean, Aziz Ansari is the guy that got falsely, Me Too'd by some groupie or something, right? She blew him and then had buyer's remorse afterwards and then went around trying to foster probably money and support and power and influence, went around saying, oh, Aziz Ansari raped me and yada, yada, yada. And Aziz Ansari, I'm pretty sure, has since cucked to feminism, But the thing is, he probably was cucking to it all along. That's the thing. That's why you don't want to give any quarter to these people whatsoever, because that's all they'll do, right?
Behavior. Name-calling, emasculation. I was a little confused by the he's doing an Aziz comment. Promoting women is now synonymous with Aziz, but Soy Boy was hands down my favorite. It was so strange. Mangina and Virgin were hackneyed taunts, but Soy Boy?
Yeah.
This was new. It made a little more sense once the trolls started replying to my original tweet. And then there's
I hate the way he says
screenshot
tweet.
of some of those replies. At Rio Squirrel 98 said, do you drink soy milk? BTW?
Yeah.
At Aries_921 said, the very definition of a beta male. At Kevin K 5722, dude, that won't get you laid. At IJC Film said, it's going to get you laid, Brian. You just look as pathetic as you sound.
See, I mean, all those are trolls and, but true. I mean, truth trolls, right? It's definitely true. Well, the soy thing, I mean, that stemmed from this idea that, like, soy has phytoestrogens, but I think they mistook that for estrogen or whatever. I mean, soy isn't good for you, I know that, but I don't think it literally, like, raises your estrogen. I think the thing about the soy boy is, like, it's a meme that denotes, like, again, like I talk about the urbanite, sheltered urbanite hipster who comes from the suburbs into the city and pushes like hipster, hippie, like, wireframe glasses, like soy stash sort of politics. They hang out at, coffee shops, right? They hang out at, like, hipster cafes. So calling them, like, soy boys. Like, they drink sip soy lattes at Starbucks or, like, the trendy DIY hipster coffee shop. And they talk about stuff that this dude is talking about. Like, feminism, I'm a male feminist ally. I'm wearing a period blood-covered shirt or a period blood-colored shirt to signal that I hate men or I hate myself for being male. And then he sits there nonplussed and perplexed as to why... people are calling him a beta male. Like, he's just... It's amazing to get in the head of a normie blue pillar.
Good luck, thirsty boy.
Yeah.
At real_Captain Keck said, has just
school.
a gif of Trump and then the word cuck underneath it. At freespeech_dead said soy boy.
Mm-hmm.
At Hillary Soros said, I doubt any men would hang out with you. You're just trying to get laid.
Yep.
Too bad women don't like soy guzzlers. And at Scott JO05867013
Scott Johnson
said, please touch my penis, but I'm your ally. Ally spelled ALLI.
Ally.
And then an emoji. Bugman alert. Bugman alert.
Yeah. So.
Soy boy. Bugman.
Yeah, soy boy, bugman. Yeah, urbanite, soy boy, bugman, shitlib, definitely. Probably really into Marvel movies. Probably sits there and like tells you that the only reason you don't like Rey and Finn is because you're a sexist, racist, that sort of guy. Yeah, the only reason you don't like the Ghostbusters reboot is the same reason. Yeah, and I would only push back a little bit on this one. Dude, that won't get you laid. Yeah, it actually will. This does get you, this mindset does get you laid with really, really disgusting, like Bebop and Rocksteady looking women. Like that's the kind of like, punks basically, but they're usually really overweight or really malnourished. There doesn't seem to be much in between. Like you'll get laid with women with really bad physiognomy, really just de-evolved looking, kind of meth head looking, types. So he's a thirsty boy. Maybe he's trying to get laid or something, but it's not unheard of that this tactic actually works, surprisingly.
And cuck, a veritable alt-right alphabet
looking.
soup. Using context clues, I understood that soy boy is a pejorative because it means I'm not man enough to drink real milk. In their mind, soy milk is somehow feminine or makes a person feminine.
No,
also, what would they say if they knew I didn't drink soy milk, but even worse, almond milk? That's not entirely true.
It's just they don't understand anything. The normies, man. Just normie tier understanding of virtually everything. It's just, like I said before, I think maybe some people actually think like, oh yeah, you're literally imbibing estrogen when you drink soy or something. But I think a lot of people just acknowledge that the kind of people hanging out at the hipster coffee shops, advocating against America, against white people, against, pro-BLM, pro-feminism. These are the kind of people that are hanging out at the trendy hipster indie coffee shops, drinking soy lattes. It's just a kind of person that you can identify.
I did drink almond milk for a long time, but after reading Nina Teicholz's The Big Fat Surprise last summer, I switched back to normal milk. So in the strictest sense of the term, I am, sadly, not a soy boy.
Yeah, you are.
What I found surprising is that no one attacked me based on race. The Kim in my name was there from the beginning. For the trolls who responded to my original tweet, they would have seen my avatar. Even if it isn't readily apparent that I'm half Korean, I have one of those racially ambiguous hues that prompts guesses anywhere from Latin American to Middle Eastern. It may be hard to pinpoint what my race is, but
the Japanese are going to be the only ones getting after you for being Korean, my guy.
You can pretty easily tell it isn't white. And yet, to their credit, they didn't go there. Also, thankfully, their taunts weren't violent. My reaction to their tweets, both then and now, is amusement. I felt like getting harassed by my 5th grade bully. Only in this scenario, I'm 33 years old, and he's still 10. Why should I take offense to a child making fun of me? The whole idea is absurd. But the reason I can laugh it off is because I didn't feel physically threatened. I'd also like to acknowledge my male privilege here. Twitter and the internet as a whole is a toxic environment for women.
Oh, boy.
To know that this kind of harassment happens to women in exponentially more disgusting and frightening ways is simply unacceptable.
Yeah, who cares?
Since this was my first time being trolled on Twitter, I didn't know how to respond. I knew I didn't want to engage with them. don't feed the trolls is one of the most useful rules of the internet, right up there with don't read the comments. But I wanted to get the last word.
Don't read the comments. So yeah, I mean, this is from a few years ago, but this is sort of this is the roadmap, right? Oh, the women and minorities can't handle social media, so we have to make it a nice, a nice cushioned, bumpered playground for the minorities and the women. And it's just like, no, how about we just like kick them off the internet? Kick them off the internet, not the edgelords. I mean, come on.
And then there's a picture of my tweet. So I quoted the Red Elephant's tweet, the one saying, I think there is a word for men like this. And I said,
Alpha.
Honored that a tweet I wrote 10 months ago finally got some traction thanks to @RealRedElephant. I'm also #blessed. I have other things to do than respond to year-old tweets. @Aries_921, @KevinK5722,
year-old tweet, dude. Year-old tweet, dude. That's a tweet every fucking day, dude. It's just a matter of like, it's just a matter of seeing the next one. I hadn't seen this tweet from 2 years ago, and I've been following Vincent James for a couple years now. It's just a matter of like you refresh your fucking feed and you'll be able to see another soy boy saying this. It's just, year-old tweet, dude, whatever. It's daily.
8 @IJCFilm, @Hillary Soros. I tagged some of the people, bots, who first responded, and then I immediately
First responders.
them. My intention was to have them see my tweet, but then not be able to respond to it. However, that's not how blocking works. Once you block someone, they can't read your tweets. As it turns out, that ended up being a better strategy. Because I had tagged them in my tweet, they all got a notification that I had mentioned them. But because I then blocked them, they had no idea what I actually said. Ian @IJCFilm sums it up best. And then there's another screenshot. @Flumo said, that somehow escalated quickly and also very slowly. And then Ian @IJCFilm said, damn, what did he say? He blocked me. And then @Aries_921 said, the customary leftist farewell.
Yep.
And then took a screenshot of his screen, which showed you are blocked from following @yet another Brian and viewing yet another Brian's tweets. Which I think is a pretty good way to deal with trolls. Feel free to use it yourself. I'm calling it the customary leftist farewell strategy. A little while later, I was hanging out with some friends, and we decided to look up soy boy in Urban Dictionary. And then there's a screenshot of the Urban Dictionary definition, which says, quote, the origin of the term derives from the negative effects soy consumption has been proven to have on the male physique and libido. The average soy boy is a feminist, non-athletic, has never been in a fight, will probably marry the first girl that has sex with him, and likely reduces all his arguments to labeling the opposition as Nazis.
Pretty accurate.
See also cuck, beta/omega male, orbiter, kissless virgin, male feminist.
Right, so now that this dude has been shown that he fits the definition of a soy boy to a T, do you think he's going to be like, well, I don't drink that much soy, I prefer almond milk. See, this is also how, this is how no progressive alive is funny, because they just don't tell the truth about anything. In order to be funny, you have to be able to tell the truth about something, right? So, is he saying that I drink too much soy milk, or I drink almond milk? Well, now I drink regular milk. They're calling you a soy boy because you have that hipster fucking coffee shop douchebag vibe, where you tell men and white people to shut up. Like, that's why they call you a soy boy. It's right in the definition. It's in the definition of. And
then there's an example in use. Man 1, if you kill your enemies, they win. Man 2, shut the fuck up, soy boy. I have to say,
yep.
I'm a pretty average soy boy.
There you go.
I won't be marrying the first woman I slept with, nor do I have a tendency to call people I disagree with Nazis. But the rest checks out.
I guarantee he's lying.
The larger question, of course, is why being less masculine is somehow bad.
He called Vincent James alt-right, so he's lying.
Or said another way, why being feminine is somehow wrong. Why are these men threatened that I'm friends with more women than men? Why are these men threatened that I'm a vegetarian?
Okay, being threatened by someone who's, like, kind of gay is absolutely natural, dude. Like, I live in Dahmer country, okay? Like, I live in a city where if you are in any, like, I talk about this semi-regularly. If you're standing in any of the, like, trendy or, urban center areas of Milwaukee, you are standing like 20 blocks or less away from where Dahmer happened. And he's like, oh, you feel threatened by effeminate men. It's like, you're an effeminate male because you have something wrong. Like, that's generally why. So people are pointing out there's something like either off in your testosterone levels or something off with the way you were raised. You know, like there probably wasn't a solid male role model around. You know, if there was, maybe he was like hands off or something. I don't know, something like that. But
why are these men threatened that I don't own a gun, that I don't drink beer, that I don't play sports?
Threatened?
By dismissing people like me as beta males, they're ignoring the complexity of the world around them. There's a fantastic essay by Adrienne Rich entitled Women in Honor, Some Notes on Lying, that I used to teach to my undergrads. Here's one of my favorite passages. Quote, in speaking of lies, we come inevitably to the subject of truth. There is nothing simple or easy about this idea. There is no the truth, a truth. Truth is not one thing, or even a system. It's an increasing complexity. The pattern of the carpet is a surface. When we look closely, or when we become weavers, we learn of the unit of the tiny multiple threads unseen in the overall pattern.
So this is right here. What you're hearing, in my opinion, is the beginning of the whole like 2 + 2 = 5 shit. So he's saying like, oh, it's not really that, it's something else. There is no truth. This is totally postmodernist fucking horseshit, isn't it? Total postmodernist fucking horseshit. There's no objective truth. There's no objective facts. It's all subjective. Oh, it's not really a carpet. It's a bunch of fibers. Shut the fuck up, idiot. Soy boy.
On the underside.
Let's bring back Soy Boy already.
After reading this passage, I'd ask my students whether they agreed with Rich. Which is more complex, truth or lies? Most of my classes were pretty evenly split. Half of my students said something along the lines of, lies are way more complex. The truth is simple. It's the truth. But once you start lying, you often have to come up with other lies to make sure your first lie isn't revealed. Right. The idea being, if you had only stuck to the truth all along, things would be simpler. Once you start lying, you can't ever stop.
Right, so if you go around saying, like, well, men can act like women and still be considered men, or like, considered, like, a quality man. Or, the other thing, oh, a man can have a surgery or put on a wig and become a woman. It's all subjective, it's all up in the air, whatever, who cares, right? Wow.
I used to think this way, too. But what Rich does in the essay is show how lies are actually very simple. And the reason they're simple is because lies always move away from complexity. Whether we're telling a white lie, omitting information, or saying something flat out wrong, these lies are an effort to make things easier for the liar, often by avoiding the intricacies of a situation. The truth, on the other hand, expands to new possibilities. They might be uncomfortable, painful possibilities, but ultimately the truth opens doors while lies slam them shut. Hence, the truth is complex and lies are simple. I'm guessing the reason my Twitter trolls are threatened by so-called beta males is that we contradict their simple view of masculinity. They don't want to acknowledge the complexity of gender.
I'm weirded out by you because you just sound like somebody who has a double life at night, like kidnapping kids or something. Like, I don't know. You sound like a gay child molester to me, like, you know. But again, Dahmer country. Like, in my opinion, you know, if you live in Milwaukee or the Midwest or whatever, or fuck it. I mean, if you live in any like dangerous coastal city that has like a fucking gay bathhouse district or whatever, or like has like huge LGBTQ lefty activism of any sort, you should feel kind of weirded out or quasi-threatened, in my opinion. What's wrong with that?
Of sexuality, of race, of
you're defending what's right.
Privilege, and so they respond the only way they know how, by calling me a soy boy.
Okay. So he made like a part 2, In the Shadow of Two Gunmen, part 2. Let's see what he has to say. That was just really pathetic. That was so fucking pathetic on his part. I can't believe it. I think this guy's a professor? Something like that. Kind of sucks.
August 5th, 2019. In the Shadow of Two Gunmen, part 2. Yesterday, I wrote about my frustrations with white men perpetrating mass shootings.
FBI.gov.
Plus, the 3 solutions I'd like to see enacted to help fix this problem.
Well, first of all, you can stop lying. I love how just immediately I click over to the next one. Oh my god, whoa. That's me. I didn't even realize. But yeah, since then I've been kicked off of Twitter. Yeah, that's me. Spreading actually Vincent James's chart. That's pretty funny. I didn't even realize this going into this that I was a part of this guy's little blog post here. But no, he just got done talking about how lies are simple and truth is complicated, and now he's just in the very, very first sentence of the blog is a lie that white men are the predominant mass shooters. No, Blake gang members are mass shooters predominantly. It's just that your political movement does not include things like, a rival gang shooting up the picnic of another rival gang as a mass shooting. You only consider it a mass shooting if Don Lemon tells you that a disaffected, mentally ill white guy goes into a government building of some sort, usually a school, and shoots 3 or more people. That's the only context under which someone of your soy status or stature will consider something a mass shooting. So it's funny, you just got done talking about how lies are simple and the truth is complicated, and then the very first sentence in your next blog, the part 2 of your blog, is a lie. But we will continue.
One of those solutions was from a person on Twitter, which ties into my focus for today. You see, a truly idiotic bot/person recently responded to a tweet I posted in January of 2016. I have no idea why these Twitter trolls dig so deep, but I guess it's because they don't have anything better to do with their time. Anyway, here's a screenshot of my original
Trolling guys like this on the internet is a fabulous way to spend your time, for the record.
tweet, followed by my troll's response. Here's my original tweet from January 9th, 2016. 9. I hate that white men in Oregon are allowed to break the law while black people across the U.S. are killed for no reason.
They're not killed for no reason. That's absolute nonsense. Oh my god, no. They're killed by cops because they reach for the cop shit. Do I even really need to go over this for the 8 millionth time? This is like a heuristic. Is that the right word? If there's a police shooting of a Blake man, you can automatically pretty much assume that he was fighting with the cop.
Hashtag 2016 confessions. And then the reply from Milo Was Here says, "Aw shit, they didn't do nothing. They didn't do nothing."
Didn't do.
And then there's a retweet from someone named Duerstream. And this tweet from
the worst biatch
Duerstream is just a picture of 4 charts, which I will go into more depth later.
Okay. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll see. Let's see.
For context,
what's he got?
Since it's been 3.5 years, I was referencing Amon Bundy's occupation of the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge in Oregon, and how law enforcement agents were patient and nonviolent toward Bundy and his followers. A remarkably different approach.
Patient and nonviolent towards Chaz, Chop, Antifa, BLM for 4 straight fucking years, dude. And stuff like this does not age well because, what went on today with the whole, yesterday with the shooting of the Trump gal, at the Capitol building. What the fuck? She got shot because she climbed through a window of a door, basically. She was unarmed, actually unarmed. She wasn't fighting with a cop. Presumably she was about to, but, you want to bring up why didn't they use a taser or a pepper spray? That would have actually been a perfect example of that. We all saw it. That would have been a perfect example of the time where they would have wanted to use pepper spray. But no, he busts out, he fucking shoots her with a 45 at point blank range, dude. Sorry, I'm digressing a little bit, but I think a lot of these kind of people are tangentially related, or not even tangentially, directly related in how why and how we are where we are today.
And in the then recent deaths of, say, Eric Gardner or Freddie Gray.
Gardner?
So that's the point I was making. And my Twitter troll here...
Right, so you were making a point that is also a lie, because of course, as we know, Eric Garner has had health problems. Even if the, Hispanic American cop that did the illegal chokehold, hadn't done that, there's a high probability he would have fucking had a problem anyways. I think he had he had a heart problem or some shit. As far as I'm concerned, that's the most rational explanation. Freddie Gray, that was an accident, and the driver of the van was a black cop, dude. What the fuck?
Responded with 4 charts to try to convince me that black people as a whole are guilty and that they deserve to die? I'm not quite sure what the logic is.
Lies are simple and the truth is complicated. Am I right? No, see. Okay, so this fucking soy queer fag is trying to convince me and his audience and you guys that I just want all these people to die because they're all evil. No, we're explaining to you why they are disproportionately involved in crime. Well, they're disproportionately involved in crime and violence and all that stuff. So, and the media is lying to you about the circumstances of these shootings, and that's what we're trying to tell you. We're trying to get you to. We're trying to enlighten you as to the truth of the matter. They're more likely to be involved with crime. They're more likely to be involved with police encounters, and they're more likely to resist arrest violently. If an individual does that, I'm not going to use the word deserve, but it's sort of logical. I mean, like, well, what's going to happen? What the fuck do you think's going to happen, dude? Come on.
Here, because there isn't any. Let's look at each image individually. So the first of the 4 images is actually 6 different bar charts put together. They all have very similar color schemes. In the bottom, they're measuring black, Hispanic, and white. The black bars are black, the Hispanic ones are kind of a tannish color, and the white is white. And for each of these 6 graphs, it represents the same trend, which is that the black bar representing black people is the highest, the Hispanic bar is the second highest, and the white bar is the lowest. These 6 charts all have different titles. Here are the titles going from upper left and then moving down the chart. Murder and manslaughter rate per 1,000. These also all come from 2016 FBI crime data, by the way. Next one is robbery rate per 100,000.
Carjackings,
rate
yep.
per 100,000.
White woman, yep.
Aggravated assault rate per 100,000.
Overwhelmingly black on white.
Motor vehicle theft rate per 100,000.
Yep.
And prostitution rate per 100,000. And again, you see the black bars consistently higher, oftentimes like 3 or 4 times higher than the white or Hispanic bars. This chart has very tiny text in the hopes that seeing large black bars will scare you. The source of the information was so tiny that I had to do a Google image search just to find the source. That search result gave me this chart. And this is a blown up larger version of the upper left one, the one that said murder and manslaughter rate per 100,000. We can now see a little bit more clearly that for the black row, we have, for the black bar, it's 12.37. The Hispanic one is 2.54. White is 1.42. And then there's a source at the bottom from the FBI.
Right, so what the FBI statistics show is that adjusting for population size, Blakes are, 10 times more likely to commit violent crime than white people. So to merely look at white people and black people as a whole and go, oh my god, black people are more likely to be in jail than white people, that's racist. Or black people... And by the way, aren't black people less likely to be shot by police officers than white people under the same situation? So that's also bullshit. But no, I mean, if there is any context under which that's more likely, either of those two things are more likely to happen, it's probably because they're more likely to commit violent crime and fight with police officers. It's in their music. It's in their fucking culture. It's in their folklore, I guess, if you will. I mean, it's all violence and hostility toward authority figures. I mean, these people are so sheltered and bourgeois and stupid, man.
Which, as far as I can tell, matches up with the top left chart in the first picture my Twitter troll sent me. This data definitely does not look good for black people, I admit. However, when I went to the website at the bottom of the chart, the one credited as its source, then I found something completely different. Table 21 isn't about the murder and manslaughter rate, but the number of arrests based on ethnicity. And the overview for this table provides some really interesting stats. Here's a screenshot. And then I include a screenshot from my computer that includes the URL so that you can see that it's the same as the one listed at the bottom of the bar chart. And this is the Uniform Crime Report, Crime in the United States 2016. The overview for Table 21 which includes arrests by race and ethnicity, 2016. Here are a couple bullet points listed in the screenshot. In 2016, 69.6% of all individuals arrested were white.
Right.
26.9% were black or African American.
Way
and
overrepresented.
3.6% were of other races.
Way overrepresented.
Of arrestees for whom ethnicity was reported, 18.
Okay, so already it's not looking good for him because what is it? Young Blake men were like 3 to 6% of the population, right? About 3 to 6% of the population, but 27% arrested. I mean, dude, that's way the fuck overrepresented. 70% are white, okay? What do we have, like 60-70% of the population is white? Okay? So that's equally represented or underrepresented. Okay, so it's already not looking good for dude. I mean, hey, maybe he'll bust out something that's really, it's going to thunderstrike me. Who knows? But we'll continue.
0.4% were Hispanic. Of all juveniles, persons under the age of 18, arrested in 2016, 62.1% were white, 34.7% were black or African American, and 3.2% were of other races. Of juvenile arrestees for whom ethnicity was reported, 22.8% were Hispanic. Of all adults arrested in 2016, 70.2% were white, 26.2% were black or African American, and 3.6% were of other races. And that's the bottom of the screenshot. I included the website address at the top so you can see that it matches the source from the chart. The difference is that I clicked into the table overview. Anyway, almost 70% of all people arrested were white. The overview also says that 59% of people arrested for violent crimes were white.
Right.
If you look
Right. White people are equally represented, proportionate to their population size. You imbecilic, chest-slapping, mental invalid.
at murder, black people accounted for 52% of arrests, but white people weren't too far behind at 45.4%. So yeah, when you look at the FBI's own arrest data from 2016, it's way less flattering for white people than it is for black people.
It's not.
So this first set of photographs isn't enough to convince me that it's over.
This guy's a professor, right? It's okay, this goes back to the soy boy thing. Oh, they're just threatened by my effeminate wiles. It's like, well, yes, because your effeminate nature is precluding you from telling the truth. Right now, it's precluding you from having basic understanding of math. I mean, listen, I got D's in math, and I still understand this better than he does. What the fuck?
Okay for white officers to kill unarmed black men. Maybe the second image will. And then there's a screenshot of the second image. The second chart is titled Changes in Male Homicide Rates by Race, 1980 to 2015. Below that in smaller text it says number of homicides of males per 100,000 population, 1980 through 2015. Largely what we see here are lines of different color stretching from 1980 to 2015. The line at the top with the highest numbers here is the line for black people. It starts off fairly high in the 1980s, kind of peaks at around 1990, starts dipping into the 2000s, but here at the very end at 2015, although it is still lower, it's kind of pointing upwards again. You have the other lines for the other races, including Hispanic or Latino, American Indian or Alaskan Native, white, Asian or Pacific Islander. All of those kind of more or less max out at the same level currently in 2015, which is much, much lower. You can see that the black rate here is about twice as high as it is for all the other races. This one is my favorite because the graph doesn't have anything to do with my Twitter troll's argument. Again, given the fact he said, "Aw, shit, they didn't do nothing," I think he's trying to convince me that most black people are criminals.
Oh my god, no. Dude, he's demonstrating that he would fail a basic IQ test right now. No, I'm not saying that most black people are criminals. I'm saying most criminals are black people. It's the exact. I mean, dude, it's. No, it's not that most black people are criminals. It's that a disproportionate amount of black people are criminals. It's that if you're in a major city and there's like someone who held up a convenience store and shot the clerk, you can basically assume with beyond a shadow of doubt. I mean, come on, that it was a brother. You just fucking can, dude. Does he deny this?
That's what
How
the first
sheltered
set
are
of
these
bar
people?
graphs are trying to prove, and I think that's what this one is trying to do too. However, this isn't a graph that shows the number of men perpetrating killings. It's the opposite. This is the list of men who have been killed. The graph says so itself. Number of homicides of males.
Right.
Not
Intraracial.
number of
Yes.
homicides by males. So, as you can see, black men are murdered about twice as often as men of any other race.
By black people.
Just to confirm I was reading
Not
this
cops.
correctly, I researched the source of this graph. It was from an incredibly short blog post by the Prison Policy Initiative, where the author's first line is, quote, "I wanted to compare homicide victimization across racial, ethnic, and gender groups over time, since this data is deceptively difficult to find in one place." End quote. So we're looking at victims here, not perpetrators. Which, now that I think about it, may be how the first set of bar graphs should be read too. Black people...
Perpetrator and victim. I mean, do I even need to get into that? I just... What the... I'm thunderstruck. By the way, Chris Kaiser, thank you for the lemonade. I really appreciate that. I'm thunderstruck right now. I lost my place. I'm sorry. I just gotta
are
continue.
murdered way more than white or Hispanic people.
Oh, right. Yes. So he's being deceptive right now. He's saying, well, the chart doesn't show perpetrator; it shows victim. Okay, well, we know that the victim will most likely be victimized by a perpetrator of their own race. We know that. So
Anyway, on to image number 3. This one is of another bar graph. The title says Interracial Violent Crime from 2012 to 2015. And we have different categories at the bottom here. Going from left to right, this is the one with the tallest bar. Black on white.
Yep.
And then white on black is considerably shorter.
Facts.
Hispanic on white is the second tallest bar. White on Hispanic is less than what we saw with Hispanic on white. Hispanic on black, very little. Black on Hispanic, about the same as white on Hispanic. And then, for some reason, all of these bars are red, and then to the right of it is another red square that's unlisted. It should come as no surprise that this chart is also incredibly misleading. I was first tipped by the floating red block to the right, where a key would normally be. I mean, the red block isn't even labeled. Why have a key when you only have one color for a chart? This one was a mess from the beginning. When I went to the Bureau of Justice site cited above, then the first thing I noticed is that the color scheme for this...
Every attempt of his to demonstrate how these numbers are misleading has fallen flat.
report isn't red and black, but green and blue. Also, the report is called Race and Hispanic Origin of Victims and Offenders 2012 to 2015. Once again, the first page of the report treats us to some highlights. Then there's a screenshot, again containing the URL so that you can see it's the exact same as the one cited at the bottom of the chart that I was just talking about. The highlights box has 5 little bullet points here. They are: during 2012 to 2015, half, 51%, of violent victimizations were intraracial. That is, both victims and offenders were the same race, or both were of Hispanic origin. In the majority of violent victimizations, white victims offenders were white, 57%, and black victims offenders were black, 63%.
Right,
The rates
overrepresented.
of total violent crime, serious violent crime, and simple assault were higher for intraracial victimizations than for interracial victimizations. From 1994 to...
At this point, I'm actually just kind of shocked that I even got a request to go over this video or go over this article because, like, I mean, this is so 2015 content. I mean, this is just like 1350, which we all learned like 7 years ago or 4 years ago.
2015, white on white violence down 79%, and black on black violence down 78%, declined at a similar rate. During 2012 to 2015, there were no differences among white, black, and Hispanic intraracial victimizations reported to police. As they mention in this report, 51% of violent victimizations were intraracial, meaning both the victims and the offenders were the same race. Basically, if you should be afraid of anyone, you should be afraid of someone sharing your race. They're the ones who are most likely to act violently toward you.
Yeah, right.
But I was curious where this very specific number...
Yeah, white people are so... They're just as likely to form a mob and go, for instance, just ransack a random convenience store and then go up on the Reservoir Park Hill in River West and go beat up a bunch of white hipsters celebrating the 4th of July. Yeah, white people are just as likely to just do that because they're angry. Yeah, dude, totally.
And the bar graph above came from. So I searched the report for the first big number, 540,873, supposedly the number of black-on-white violent incidents. And here's why the red bar graph is deceiving. It only focuses on interracial crime. Remember that the majority of violent crime is intraracial, not
51%.
interracial. So while there were 540,360
interracial violence attacks,
chart came up with 540,873 incidents of black people violently attacking a white victim, there were 2,081,520 white people violently attacking other white people. That's a huge difference.
There's a huge difference. Oh my god!
The numbers from
There's a huge difference in population too.
Here's what the actual data is.
Okay.
And then there's a picture of this table 4.
Okay, so there's 4 times as many fucking violent incidences, but there's 8 times the population. I mean, come on, like, stop it. 10 times the population.
Or from
Just
the
stop
report,
it.
it says % of violent victimizations by victim-offender relationship and race/Hispanic origin of victim and offender 2012 to 2015. The key here is that for each of the 3 categories, white victim, black victim, and Hispanic victim, when we break it down between a white offender, a black offender, and a Hispanic offender, each group's average number, or the number of attacks from each group, is highest for that group, the offender for the same group that they are within.
This guy's rambling, dude. This guy's a fucking idiot.
Victim had 2,081,520 offenders, while there were only 540,360 black offenders. But then if you look at the black victims, then there were 537,470 black offenders compared to only 91,470 white offenders. Same with Hispanic victims. When you look at the number of Hispanic offenders against Hispanic victims, you have 341,420, and both the white and the black offenders were roughly the same at close to 170,000. So, that's now 3 out of 4 debunked charts.
No!
Maybe the 4th
0.
one will finally change my mind. Gotta save the best for last, right?
You did absolutely
So this last
0
one
debunking.
is titled Mass Shootings in 2016 by Race, United States. And then it lists the races in order of the number...
Yeah, that chart probably listed all, like I said before, all the rival gang picnics being shot up by black gangs or Hispanic gangs that the, lefty mainstream media and the academic class will not touch with a 10-foot pole because
mass shootings that each race perpetrated and the percent total. So going from top to bottom, we have black with 128 mass shootings, or 71.5% of the total. Latino, 19, 10.6% of the total. Black/Latino, 13, 7.3% of total. White non-Muslim, 8 or 4.5% of the total. Asian,
that's
there were
huge.
3 people who perpetrated mass shootings.
Man, that's huge.
1.7% of the total. Muslim extraction, 1, 0.6% of the total. And unknown, 7, 3.9% of the total. The source here is listed as the Gun Violence Archive, and it notes that the Gun Violence Archive has always used the FBI-derived definition 4 or more shot and or killed in a single event or incident at the same general time and location, not including the shooter. So that's all the information that was in that fourth one. And here's where we circle back to mass shootings. This chart is meant to show how black people, men, commit way more mass shootings than white people, men.
Black men.
But it's important to remember how we define a mass
16 to 35-year-old black men. Yes.
shooting. As I discussed yesterday, Mother Jones defines a mass shooting as any indiscriminate shooting that occurs
Mother
in a public
Jones
space
definition
and which results in 4 or more deaths. But that's not how every database charts mass shootings. This fairly short article from the Rand Corporation outlines how different sources define and count a mass shooting.
I'm going with the FBI.
They
dude.
actually mentioned the Gun Violence Archive in that post, the same database cited in the chart above. The Gun Violence Archive defines a mass shooting as one that occurs in any location, public or domestic, with 4 or more deaths and any motivation. It's the last part there that's key. Any motivation. This includes drug or gang-related violence. And when you couple that with what we learned from the previous chart, how intraracial violence is more common than interracial violence, you'll see that the 128 mass shootings committed by black people, men, is accurate but misleading. The majority of the victims of those 128 shootings were other black people, not crowds of unsuspecting white people.
So?
This is a chart specifically designed to make us fear black men, even though white men are the ones most likely to perpetrate the kind of random mass shootings we hear about so often on the news.
There it is! Exactly what I said. So if it's not a fucking disaffected, antisocial, mentally ill white dude going into a government building, or particularly a school, and if it's not said on CNN by Don Lemon, these shitlibs don't consider it a mass shooting. If it's Tyrone shooting up 4 rival gangbangers at a fucking rival gangbang fucking cookout, then they don't consider it a mass shooting, because all progressives ever do is lie 100% of the time without exception.
Representation of data found in these charts is deeply worrying to me. I highly doubt most people, especially people with a propensity to believe all black people are violent criminals, would perform the necessary research to debunk these graphs.
No one has said.
There are some who are simply looking to affirm what they already believe. But then there are others who are maybe on the fence, and when they see data presented in this manner, then they start to change their minds. That's the really dangerous, insidious effect that this kind of misinformation has. And with platforms like Twitter or Facebook, it's so easy to promote and propagate these deceptions.
It's not a deception. You're deceiving.
There's one last thought I'd like to leave you with.
Wait.
I did a lot of research for these 2 articles, and the most staggering chart I found was from the BBC. In 2016, 38,658 Americans died from guns. Only 71 died in mass shootings. And in fact, there were only 14,415 homicides that year.
Okay,
the largest cause of gun deaths, 22,938, was suicide. And then there's a picture of that chart, or the graph from the BBC. Of the total 38,658 who died in 2016, there were 22,938 suicides, 14,451 homicides, of which 71 died in mass shootings, and 1,305 other. Other here includes accidental deaths and war casualties. The source is the CDC.
This guy is a piece of shit. This guy is a worthless pile of garbage.
Almost 60% of gun deaths in the United States in 2016 were self-inflicted. If that doesn't convince you that owning a gun is a threat to you or a loved one's safety, then I don't know what will.
Oh, soy to the boy. Oh, God. Oh, my God. That was painful to go through. So, yeah, once again, all progressives ever do is lie 100% of the time, without exception. Okay? It's heuristics. If a leftist is uttering something, it's a lie. That was 2 articles just full of misrepresentations, lies of omission, pivoting to other subjects that are, once one subject's too uncomfortable, they pivot to another one. That's what we're dealing with here. Just compulsive fucking liars. I can't. Notes of a native soy boy, indeed. I mean, I'm man, oh man. I'm just gonna play us out with something. I don't even know. Fucking Filth Collins? Cool. Let's do it. If you want me to cover a video, give me $9. Cover anything you want. Subscribestar.com/Duerstream.
The music I'm now doing on my own, solo, is purely decibel related. No more chord patterns, so to speak, all just bursts of noise. All the volume you can need. Mm-hmm. And maybe more.
Well, it sucks ass.